Oops. Good morning, and welcome to another Experts Wednesday. Experts Interview Friday. I don't even know what day it is today. This is all about women needing to speak up and out for themselves. So if you feel undervalued or unheard sometimes, this cast is for you. So please stick around. There are so many women who feel that they really don't have a voice. They don't feel heard in their relationships. They don't speak up at work. They hold their tongue for fear of getting in trouble, and they keep their mouth shut sometimes too much just to keep the peace. And they might be busting to speak up and out for themselves, but they don't. Look, not speaking up and out for ourselves can cause a lot of stress and frustration in the mind and the body, and it pushes us much further away from true happiness and fulfillment. So if you want to break this cycle, you're going to love the interview today. My beautiful guest is Robyn Robertson, and she helps women to speak up, find their voice of confidence and clarity so they can lose that fear and anxiety around their message. That makes us feel more empowered in life. And Robyn was in the beauty industry for over 40 years, so she heard thousands and thousands of stories from female clients, incredible stories from the ugly to the beautiful. Please welcome my guest today on the show, Robyn Robertson. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Elisa. It's so lovely to be here with you. And I think you totally nailed what women feel and experience. So I don't really need to, I don't feel I need to say a whole lot more. I think you've capsulated that essence in that little intro. And this is exactly why I do what I do, because I have seen it so often.
Oh, look, absolutely. And we all know, I don't know why this happened, but we all know that hairdressers and beauty therapists hear lots of stories because we feel, I suppose, safe in a safe environment with closed doors where we can sort of share our stories with a quote unquote stranger, if you like, and then that can be dumped and then moved on. I think that safe place for women is so beautiful. It's almost like a therapy session, isn't it? Sometimes in beauty.
Absolutely. And I always thought that I would go on to be a psychologist, but I think I was practicing psychology.
Absolutely.
Just being at work and connecting with these women, because it's a very one-on-one experience, and it's one of the few professions where I can be, or people can be, in your personal space. Think of how many other people can actually touch your head. There's not that many. So once you start that experience with a client, there's something that releases and they feel safe. So you wouldn't let everyone massage your head, would you?
No, that's true. That's true. It is a very intimate experience. The same as a massage therapist. They're pretty much the only two people, unless you're getting craniosacral, therapy or something like that. But yeah, it's a very personal sort of close experience, isn't it? When people are touching you and massaging and all that sort of stuff. So what was the deciding factor for you to get out of the beauty industry and really shift into coaching?
I think there was just recognizing such a need to help women that I'd heard stories from for so long. And, the physical strain on my body was another little nudge. But it's like, how can I use all of those years' experience to continue in a much more intentional role? And so that was my deciding factor, that, I can actually take this to another level. And having had all those experiences with so many women over so many years, there's a common thread through every story. And, there's some really great victorious stories and women doing amazing things that are full of confidence and courage to step out. But there's a huge percentage that's just diminished over years, whether it be in a relationship or in the workplace, that fear starts to creep in, anxiety starts to creep in, doubts about their abilities to be a good parent, to be a good co-worker, to be a good wife, to be a good daughter, and all of these seasons that we go through as women present another level of challenge. And so, you know, that requires another level of courage and confidence. And the process of losing your voice along the way means that, you know, each time you're faced with a new season, there's this fear and anxiety that creeps in when the need to speak up is presented.
Yeah.
So, you know, being able to rewire the nervous system, which is what these techniques that I use do, empowers a woman to sort of grow again into her own personal power and have that courage and confidence, and to really get clarity around what she wants to say.
And, you know, we don't need to necessarily have grown up having no voice. There's certain times in life, from my own experience too, where we get such a massive shock or trauma or setback that just shakes the very foundation that we stand on. And that happens, I'm sure, to a lot of people. And I know, you know, it doesn't sound like a big deal, separation and divorce, but it can be a massive deal for some people, and especially if it comes in a very shocking and horrifying way. And I know that from personal experience. So when I wrote my book, The Find Your Voice, this was such a massive theme for me, because I realized that all through my marriage, I didn't have a voice. And I didn't even know that I didn't have a voice until it all blew up and the truth was revealed. And then I sort of crumbled to the ground, and I had to rethink my entire life, my entire belief system, and then build myself like a phoenix out of the ashes. That was a massive shift. And how many other women go through that but don't have the support, maybe, or don't have the tools to be able to bring themselves out of that experience? This is such important work. I think people they don't really realize how important our communication system, the way that we connect and communicate with people, is so intrinsically related to our happiness and fulfillment in life. I meet so many people who say, I'm really unhappy, I'm really unfulfilled, because they don't feel heard.
That's right. And that is the essence of just having someone listen and engage with what your message is, engage with what you want to say without being shut down, you know, or mocked, or, you know, overridden with objection or rejection. And in a situation like yours, which I heard a lot of women who went through that painful experience, there was then this upper level, almost narcissism that stepped up.
Absolutely.
That, like, I'm going to, you know, shoot you down, and, you know nothing about finances. And it came about financial issues that women hadn't really learned and skilled themselves in, because then they're the ones left and they pretty much get the crumbs. So, you know, the fear and the sense of loss and grief over something that's happened, it just undoes us, and our nervous systems become shot. So to actually go into battle broken internally, without your voice, without confidence, without courage, and to stand up and at least be heard and express what you're feeling, that is just a really devastating experience. And, you know, starting at that point and then realizing that, oh my goodness, I have lost my voice, and trying to speak and then finding that the throat clams up, the chest creates this tightness that feels like you're going to have a heart attack.
Absolutely.
And then you've got to step in and give, you know, evidence or speak up. And it's just a really terrifying experience for a lot of women. And, you know, being able to empower them to rise up, to speak.
Yeah,
look,
absolutely.
The same thing can happen in the workforce. And I've been in salons over many years. I've had my own, and I recognised, you know, even the bullying between women. So, you know, like, there's competition been there. You know,
Yeah.
there's this terrible feel of women competing against women, and the industry is rife for that. Salon
Yeah.
against salon, you know, it's just, oh.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
you know, sadly, I've come through an industry that's very much part of, you know, little girl stuff in the playground when they're little. We know the stories of little girls experiencing bullying, and you hope that that never happens as you get older, but that's what I hear and that's what I've seen. That, oh my goodness, are those women really behaving like that? You know?
I know, and it's crazy. You know, I grew up in the entertainment industry, and I was in that all my life from the age of 11 professionally. And that was rife, of course, in the entertainment industry, especially in dance, for whatever reason. It wasn't so rife in singing. It was a little bit more supportive in singing, but in dance, oh my God, they would rip your throat out. And the
Mm,
mothers would fight like cat and dog. It was just abysmal. So I grew up feeling very unsafe around women for 20 years. I didn't trust women at all because they were the ones that hurt me and bullied me and traumatized me all the way through my growing up years. So that can leave a lot of scars for people. It took me a very long time to start to trust women and have women in my circle. Now I'm so grateful that I've got beautiful women on my circle and women who are uplifting, inspiring, encouraging, and don't knock you down. It's so
mm.
important to have that. Let's just jump over the comments for a second. If you're watching this on Facebook, welcome. It's lovely to see you here for experts interview on Friday. I got the day wrong. I don't even know what day it is today. It's been one of those weeks. If you're watching this on Facebook, fantastic. Make sure you allow StreamYard to see your comments. That way we can show your question on the stream with your name. And if you're also watching this on the Voice of Confidence TV on YouTube, you can comment below and we can put your question for Robyn right up on the screen. So let's have a quick look. We've got Chris joining us from Belgium. And hi, Chris. Nice to see you here. Thank you so much for joining us. It's great to see you here an hour earlier for you. Good on you. And she's tuned in from Belgium. I think Ice, good morning. Good morning. She's tuned in from the Philippines. She is on YouTube. And good morning, Crazy Porn. I see you speaking to me. I'm not quite sure what that is. Hi, and we've got this is a question from somebody on my YouTube channel. Why do you think the competition is wrong? Life, and then they go on to say life is competitive for all of us, not only women. Absolutely. But let's look at that for a second, because that's a really interesting statement. I don't like competition. I don't think it's healthy, but you're right. A lot of people will compete and be very strong competitors. I think it depends on the person. How do you feel about that question?
I think competition is great. But when it comes to being personal and cutting, then that's where it should stop. So, you know, I had worked in salons where we had competitions, like there were rewards for work and incentives. And, you know, for me, it was like a personal challenge. But for the girls who didn't like that, you know, it was like, okay, you know, snide remarks and that little nastiness that comes through that's really unnecessary.
Yeah.
And so, but for competition, I love the sense that everyone compete, but should be competing for themselves to improve and take on that personal challenge. Yeah, not to tear somebody else down.
Bingo, exactly. And I think this is the way that people have a very different mindset about competitiveness. You don't have to be mean to each other. When I grew up in the entertainment industry, we were always doing competitions, always, you know, from the age of 11 right through to in my 30s, singing competitions, dancing, acting, gymnastics, whatever it was. And the thing that I loved the most as I grew up and had a better circle of friends, we actually might have been competing in exactly the same contest, but we would support each other and celebrate each other's wins. Even if we didn't win, we would celebrate the win of the other person. And all I wanted to do is become a better version of myself every single time I did that. I didn't necessarily need to out-sing somebody else. I wanted to out-sing myself from the previous time I sung. That was important to me. I think you have to have the right mindset about competition. I understand that in very high level of competitiveness, like athletes or Formula One drivers, they might think a little bit differently. But there's no reason that we have to be mean or dismissive or disrespectful to another person. That's just not emotionally intelligent in my way of thinking. Let's move on to question 2, because this is so important. This conversation that we're having right now. What are the most common fears that you saw in your 40-year career?
I think we've touched on that. I think it's the anxiety about having an opinion. It may not be in line with those around you that have very strong opinions, but we all have thoughts and ideas and opinions on something, and not being valued for your opinion. I think that's a challenge, and that seems to be what shuts people down. And, I've done a lot of work over the years, seminars, and it's like, you own your feelings, you're entitled to an opinion, and you should be entitled to be heard. But I've been in situations where I've wanted to express an opinion which is opposing to what the conversation is, and just observed how quickly someone will cut me off or object or come back with a, oh no, that's not right. I'm like, hey, I'm just having an opinion. And I think that lack of respect and the lack of value of letting others speak, letting others have an opinion. And this is where the women just feel, especially if you're a little bit introverted, you're a bit shy, women just won't speak. And I had those women in my chair, that were affected by their experiences outside the salon, and would come in and just to get them to talk and to share. And sometimes they didn't even know what they liked. Like, where do you lose your sense of self, where, you have the option to choose something and then you don't know what you like anymore? And I went through that season myself. We went through a huge financial crash, lost nearly everything. And the shame that came with that, the fear of, trying again. And so it's very debilitating. So I've been on the other side as well. So I know what it feels like. And then I know what it feels like to crawl out of that and learn that, my thoughts were okay. My ideas were okay. My judgments would, had they been heard, would have been really valued and important. But, I was suppressed in having any say in these situations. I could see what was happening, but I couldn't stop it because I wasn't heard. And so I had to just step back and let the whole thing fall apart. And then, because that had a much bigger effect on me. But, you do recover, and you just need that support system around you. Just like you said, Elisa, it's, can we avoid that? I think let's empower women to value their thoughts, value their truths, value their ideas. Like, ideas come to us, and not everyone is going to have the same idea, but it doesn't mean that your idea is not going to be great. Like, have someone that can empower you and put into you and give the confidence and the courage back to you so that you can stand up and speak.
And look, sometimes we just attract the wrong partners because of our insecurities within ourselves. And I think that's what probably happens to a lot of shy women. I know a lot of shy and insecure women, like I grew up, myself and other people I see this in, we attract, for whatever reason, narcissistic husbands that like to eventually control us and manipulate us. It's like boiling a frog very slowly. You don't even notice it's happening, and it happens really slowly over time. And then, you end up in the situation where you don't have a voice and you can't be heard. I could never understand why whenever I spoke up and had my opinion about something, my husband would get really angry with me and say, why can't you just agree with me? So he wouldn't listen, and his father was exactly the same, and his brother was exactly the same. It was impossible to have any sort of open conversation, so how can you thrive or grow as a human being in a world like that? It doesn't work. My current partner right now, he's amazing. We can have open conversations and listen to each other's opinion calmly without getting upset with each other and just have a discussion about it. It's beautiful. Everybody deserves a relationship like that. So if you don't have that, get the hell out of there, because it's available to all of us. Absolutely. Let's jump over we've got a lot of comments coming through. Let's jump over now. Chris has been struggling. Now, so Chris is from Belgium. So the word chef in Belgium doesn't mean cook. It actually means boss, right? So in Dutch and in Belgium. So she's saying, what can we do when our boss, the man, thinks the man and woman, the man is a boss. Women are just administrative tools or threats. She's having some trouble with her male boss, who is putting down women and thinking that they should only be secretaries and not have a voice. So here we have one of these very strong men, but she's in the school system where she really needs to speak up about a system that she needs to organize to support the students, and he's not on board. Any suggestions about that?
Oh, I think that is so common. And why is that? But for you, Chris, you need to strengthen your internal and believe that your ideas are good ideas to improve a system. And not everyone is going to accept that. And you really can't change another person. And that's the sad thing about these situations. There's so many women that have had incredible ideas and want to make amazing suggestions for change. And, believe in yourself that you are on track, and just recognize you're dealing with someone that you probably can't change. You can present. If he's not going to listen, there lies the problem. There lies exactly what we're talking about, because you can't change another person. You have to be very strategic if you want to win them over to your way of thinking. And there are strategies you can learn with that. But for some people that have that view of women are just there for that, they're very challenging to confront.
Yes.
So, this is the challenge that women have faced for generations, and it's still happening. And you need to have really great skills to be able to influence. And this is what we teach, is how to influence your audience to listen to you. Because once you are strong within, once you've got a really sense of self and belief in what your ideas are, then that confidence and courage comes. You get clarity around your message, and you can take that message anywhere. You can present that anywhere and, capture your audience so they will actually hear you. And this is the empowerment that comes with finding your voice and learning how to speak.
Yeah, look, absolutely. I find that in those situations too, one of the things that lets us down the most, from my experience with all my clients, is when we get out of control, when we go into our emotional state, or we get triggered in some way. Women tend to go into that high squeaky voice and sort of lose it. And that losing it, a lot of men, especially narcissistic A-type personalities, egotistical men, are not going to have any patience for that type of behavior, because they don't value emotion. They don't value or respect a woman that loses it and goes into that emotional state. So it's very important for us as women to really know our worth, like you said, absolutely. So we can stay grounded and focused and stand up for ourselves and say, hey, this has value. What I'm giving you has value, and I've got proof for that. And just state your case really calmly, instead of losing it and being defensive or aggressive or attacking. It's never going to help with these people. 25 years with a narcissist, I know it does not help to argue. It just doesn't, because they don't listen. They absolutely will just shut you down and don't listen. And then they get violent because they get aggressive and they lose it, and that's okay, but nobody else is allowed to lose it. So playing with these types of people, you have to be cool, calm, and collected all the time. Otherwise, you lose. That's game over.
And this is what happens. And then, when that occurs a few times, you imagine you're in that situation and you've been bullied and you're shut down. It just starts to erode at something within your very being, your soul.
Absolutely.
It's just eroded away so that you feel like a nothing. You can't talk. You don't even know what to say anymore. And, you present yourself in situations where it be a dinner party or a group or a team meeting, and you've already believing now that your voice doesn't matter and your opinions don't count.
Yeah.
So you sit there silent, and that silence is just totally continuing that diminishing feeling that you've already got. It's just a terrible spiral that goes south, and you need to capture before women really hit the bottom, because we can rebuild that up and we can rewire that to a level of self-awareness, self-confidence, and it does to the brain as well. Like, we have an emotional brain, we have a rational brain, and then looking at it, we have the wise brain. So when we're in an emotional state, that's probably not the place to stay. When we're totally rationalizing why they do this, and we can give excuses and make all sorts of justifications why they're behaving like that, but come into the reasonable, wise mind, and you realize that, hey, that's wrong. That's wrong. And, I'm not going to be all emotional, but I'm not going to be rationalizing their behavior. I need to find out what's right for me and become into that reasonable mind where there's no self-doubt, where you can start to build back into yourself, build that confidence, repair the damage done to your heart, rewire the nervous system, which is in your brain as well, and right down into your very being. And that happens. There's lots of little practices that I teach, lots of little rituals that really do that work for you, and it's extremely powerful. It's transformational, and I love seeing the results. And I'm also part of a group where I do it for myself, and it's really exciting to be in that sort of work and to offer that sort of work, and to just see how women overcome these internal fears and anxiety.
Yeah, and in a safe space. And I think that's the point. And look, if you're watching this and you've never experienced this, you may not understand anything that we're talking about, and that's okay. But I know that there's a lot of people out there, men and women alike, but I find in my studio, it's mostly women. They're experiencing this exact thing. They feel like they're not heard, valued, or respected. And that really shapes their life in a big way. It holds them back massively. And I've taught women, as young as teenagers, of course, right up to in their 60s and 70s, and it's still rife everywhere. It's not even my generation, 50 and above, where we were seen and not heard. Children must be seen and not heard. It's not even just us anymore. It seems to be a lot of different cultures and backgrounds. They're everywhere. People who don't feel heard, valued, or respected. So look, we've got your back here. Robyn is here to help. I also do very similar work, but with the voice. So if you want to reach out to Robyn, where can they find you?
Well, we're going to put the link in here. I'm doing an information webinar on Tuesday night. I do run workshops, so we can do a 6-week intensive, which is level 1. Then we can go to level 2, which is another 6 weeks. But for a really effective transformation, I do a 16-month program. So we meet twice a month, and each month we have a different theme that we prepare talks on. We practice in front of each other. We celebrate the voice, like cheering and celebrating. There's no, criticisms. There's no, negative. It's all positive, and it's a beautiful experience to be in, where women are really celebrating each other. And the other unique thing we do, we practice fertile listening. So when the girls give their short talks, everyone is tuned in to them, and that builds something back into woman to make her feel good about herself. And then the celebration after she's spoken.
That's beautiful.
Beautiful experiences, really. It's lovely. So the 16-month is amazing. So next Tuesday, we'll be doing an introductory workshop as well, so the girls can pop in and visit there if they'd like to, and the link will be put up for you. And I
Yeah,
have a
fantastic.
Facebook group, Women Igniting Passion, if you like to go into Facebook, and I do have a website as well.
Fantastic. Now I can see that Ice has put that link underneath. So we've got the Facebook link, and underneath, wherever you're seeing this live cast today, if you're seeing it on YouTube or if you're seeing it on Facebook, we'll put the link in underneath how to join those webinars from Robyn. So thank you so much for joining us today. And Chris has just said, thank you so much. Let's have a look at her comment here. Thank you so much. I try that. The problem is that the boss has the power and likes to maintain the status quo without change. Everybody is afraid. Yeah, and it's a difficult situation, and we wish you well with that. It's a hard situation sometimes when people don't listen. They don't want to know. It's as simple as that, unfortunately. So thank you so much. You're watching this on the Voice of Confidence TV. If you would like to be part of this, if you're an expert that would like to be interviewed, just PM me below the platform, wherever you're watching this on. And we have an expert every single Friday, and we can share your expertise with the world and help make this world a better place. Thank you so much for joining me, Robyn. It's been my pleasure hosting you today. And I wish you much. You're very welcome. Thank you guys for joining us, whatever platform you are joining on. Thank you. If you're catching it on the replay, put #replay, put it below any questions or comments. We would love to support you in your journey in life. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.